In an update to this story, right after I finished recording this video, the U.S. Attorney and FBI agent on the case released a joint statement announcing their investigation concluded this event was not a hate crime, that the rope in question had in fact been in this garage for at least many months prior. TLDR, the FBI investigation reached the same conclusion that this video did for the same reasons, looking at the same evidence, but I don't like to scrap work that I've already done if I don't have to, so I'll publish the video anyway as a more detailed explanation of how this finding was reached. Thanks for listening and enjoy. Well, we're really doing this again, I guess. We're really acting like Jussie Smollett never happened before his prosecution even concludes, in fact. We're really going to pretend that absurd claims of racial targeting still must be automatically believed as true. We're really going to shout down anybody who simply asks questions about the total lack of evidence as racist.
What would you say to those people who are doubting that this even happened?
It's simple-minded people like that, the ones that are afraid of change. They use everything in their power to defend what they stand up for.
We're really getting on board with yet another unlikely, implausible claim, totally unconcerned with how silly we'll look later for believing that getting your ass kicked while holding a Subway sandwich in your hand the whole time and then sitting down to eat it later with a noose around your neck is totally understandable, totally normal behavior. Now, am I saying that I know with certainty that this Bubba Wallace noose claim is an intentional hoax or an accidental misinterpretation of something else? No, I'm simply saying that back in my day, we didn't presume claims as true without substantiating evidence. I'm simply saying that it may be a little premature to give this guy a tearful heroes parade before any demonstration of the facts has even been made. A parade that's awfully convenient, by the way, considering that's the only time this guy's made it to the front of the line in his entire racing career. That was the scene before Monday's NASCAR race at the Talladega Superspeedway in Alabama, a race that was totally overshadowed by, well, race. This after NASCAR's only black driver, Bubba Wallace, claimed a noose was found in his garage beforehand, and check out how hard the morning news coverage pushes that claim, and crowns Bubba the race's real winner, despite another underwhelming finish.
The sport's only black driver wept on the track as dozens of his fellow drivers and their crews showered him with love and support, pulling his number 43 car to the front of the line after Wallace was the apparent target of a hate crime.
The apparent victim of a hate crime, despite no demonstration of hate and no demonstration of a crime. This is just as silly as saying there was an apparent murder without saying who died, or saying there was an apparent robbery without saying what was stolen. If you can't explain it with details, it's not apparent. It's unsubstantiated. No time for details, though. It's time to grandstand for the empty grandstands.
No one is white, black, brown, or yellow. They are all racers.
We aren't racists, we're racers. That sounds like a great slogan for the new woke NASCAR. Also a great way to make the empty Corona seats a permanent feature of the association. But if race doesn't matter, then why are we giving this guy theatrical special treatment solely on the basis of his race? If race is no consideration, then investigate this alleged crime as you would any other crime committed on NASCAR property, driven by the facts and appropriately behind the scenes, because it's not relevant to the actual racing event. But it's not just a car race anymore. Now it's a racial race, and Bubba won the race that counts.
And this was actually a race. Bubba Wallace finishing 14th, but only, guys, because he ran out of fuel at the very end. But I don't think there's any question as to who the race's big winner was yesterday.
I don't think there's any question either. The big winner was Ryan Blaney, the guy who actually won the race, but you won't hear his name mentioned even once in this story. Oh, sure, maybe Bubba didn't drive as well or manage his resources as well as the other drivers, but no, there is no but. That's what racing is, and Bubba Wallace didn't win the race. But this reporter might be right. It's not about the race anymore in this case. It's just about the narrative. And if you don't buy the approved narrative, then the NASCAR president says he's offended by you, as though that has any relationship to the truth or the facts. He says, quote, "I can't speak for those on social media who would say this is a staged event. I would say that is something that personally offends me. This is a terrible, terrible act that has happened. For those who would think this is staged, I don't even know where to go with that, frankly. Where you go with that is to provide the evidence that shows that your claims are true and the skeptic's claims are false. It's very simple, but I understand why he wouldn't want to do that. When you consider the facts that are available, there are major holes and question marks with the narrative of NASCAR and Bubba Wallace. Inconvenient fact number 1, there is absolutely no photo or video evidence of the alleged noose in question. Bubba Wallace hasn't shown a picture. NASCAR hasn't shown a picture. If Bubba and NASCAR are so offended, I don't think it's too much to ask to show us what was so offensive. And the absence of an image is very odd considering everyone has a camera in their pockets at all times, but nobody's camera captured this particular incident. Inconvenient fact number 2, Bubba Wallace never even saw this alleged noose himself. A fact you have to scroll down 8 paragraphs to find in the CNN article. Past all the obligatory acknowledgments that this incident and diversity have only made us stronger, of course, a shaken fist at the unfalsifiable demon of systemic racism and condemnation of the hate that lower paragraphs confirm Bubba Wallace never even saw himself, and nobody has any evidence to substantiate. I generally don't believe you're a victim simply by seeing a symbol, but we're a step below even that standard in this case. Bubba Wallace is claiming to be a victim of a symbol that somebody else saw and told him about. That's not a hate crime. That's the telephone game. That's hearsay. Inconvenient fact number 3, even if this did happen, it would almost certainly have to be an inside job. This didn't happen at Bubba Wallace's house or his personal garage. It happened at his car garage at the Speedway site, a site that is housing dozens of these cars, each of which is worth 6 figures minimum. It's highly unlikely that some outsider just waltzed into this garage to place a hate message without tripping any of the security features. Indeed, none of the media coverage that I've seen has anything to say about any signs of forced entry, and I gotta imagine that these expensive cars and all the other equipment that goes along with them are protected by at least a padlock. The NASCAR president acknowledges there are many security features on site, also implying there are video cameras present, as well as additional security features implemented for coronavirus protection. He says only essential NASCAR personnel would have access to this garage bay. In other words, it had to be someone on the inside who knows Bubba, or at least works with Bubba, who did this. And given that everyone who does is apparently eager to march in an impromptu parade to honor his melanin, I don't think hate is the likely explanation here, if it even happened at all. And inconvenient fact number 4, there is a highly plausible alternative explanation here that is neither hateful nor a crime. The deep divers of the internet have done their searches, due credit to them, and if you look at the Talladega garage bays during recent race events, you'll notice a lot of them have rope pulls hanging from the garage doors to pull the doors down and shut them. And in many cases, they even have loops tied on the end of these ropes in apparent hate crimes that went unnoticed at prior events. But that's not all. Notice this specific garage bay number, garage number 4, where we see one such prior noose-looking rope pull. Well, that happens to be the very garage bay that Bubba Wallace used at Monday's race. And wow, weird, now the rope just so happens to be snipped a lot shorter than the other ropes in the other neighboring garage bays. So what happened to that loop? And what happened to the rest of the rope that tied that loop? Indeed, this number 43 Bubba Wallace car parked in the garage in the photo here, that does appear to be the very same number 43 car that won the real race on Monday afternoon. These details are way too coincidental to simply be that. I wonder if tomorrow morning's news will cover these facts, or if we'll just leave it at the fawning.
It was this unforgettable stretch before the green flag dropped that will likely serve as an enduring image for generations of NASCAR fans.
That image will stay with me. This morning I woke up and saw it, and I literally had to replay it a couple of times.
Little moment of darkness leading to such a beautiful moment in the light, and I think that's the image that's going to stick with people.
Yeah, we'll see what the lasting images of this story are. My guess is these takes will age just as poorly as the Robin Roberts Good Morning America interview with Jussie, and both of these images will be feature exhibits at the Museum of Things That Never Happened. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice? Well, still shame on you fucks for being so stupid and gullible as to buy this nonsense again, or being so malicious as to try to dupe the American public in pursuit of a false narrative again. Either way, the infinite repetition of ever weaker accusations of racism will not substitute for evidence. Show us the Noose. Because hey, say what you will, at least Jussie put up the actual effort. Thanks as always for listening and for supporting this channel. Always appreciate that thoughtful discussion down below, and especially over on Twitter. That is at ML Christiansen. You're always welcome to coming out and chat in my live streams. Those are linked down in the description. Looking forward to it. Goodbye.